Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. So, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed. Actually, a lot of disappointed, but I'm trying to downplay it a little bit. As long as I've been in the cryptocurrency space, there's constantly been the narrative of when will Bitcoin do it? When is Bitcoin going to succeed? When is Bitcoin going to be adopted? When is Bitcoin going to be worth this much? When is Bitcoin going to pass by this? How much will Bitcoin be worth? How many assets will Bitcoin pass by? A number of years ago, I want to say a good 4 or 5 years, a huge portion of the news that we had, at least back then, was the market cap of Bitcoin relative to other companies and countries and institutions and banks. Simple enough. I think back then Bitcoin ended up being around like number 30, which already is quite impressive. I feel like we don't celebrate enough milestones ever within the Bitcoin space because I think people are usually too concerned with Bitcoin's current price or Bitcoin's current price. So Bitcoin can be $71,000 and people cheer and they care about it. Bitcoin goes down to 8,000 and they get sad and they don't care about it. It's always just about like the literal price and nothing else actually floating around it. We forget quite often how far we've come in a 15-year period. For a couple of years ago, to have heard that of all the assets on the planet, all the companies, all the banks, all the institutions, that Bitcoin was, I believe it was number 30 out of all these things, is monumental. Think of how many things exist on this planet. How many institutions and companies and banks have been around for 50 years, for 100 years, for several hundred years, and to hear that Bitcoin passed by them barely made any type of a blip on a radar. People just didn't care for whatever reason. So when this news popped up, this is why I said I'm a little disappointed. A lot of disappointed. When this news popped up, I assumed there would be online parties. Everyone would be dancing around. One of the main narratives for Bitcoin since like 3 years after creation was the idea of digital gold. You've seen the videos, you've seen the, almost said movies. Are there movies about this? I have no idea. You've seen people talking about it before. It used to be one of the main talking points for Brad Garlinghouse, the head of Ripple. He used to always say, like, if you're trying to transport cryptocurrencies, would you rather have a room full of gold, or would you rather have a USB that's just holding crypto on it? And of course, everyone would choose crypto. I mean, it was like his thing for like a lot of years. It was actually a little weird that no one who was giving him prompts ever told him to say anything else except for talking about getting onto an airplane with a USB or a gigantic bag full of gold that had to go through security. It was very odd. Of course, everyone would choose the USB. So the idea was, as we no longer have a gold standard, especially not for the US dollar, that Bitcoin would eventually grow large enough as an asset class that it could then be used by governments as a form of currency, if you will, i.e., the US government currently has over 200,000 Bitcoin. They would, in essence, be able to create a new currency, a new Bitcoin dollar, if you will, that they're only allowed to create more of based on the amount of Bitcoin that they currently have. 1 Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshi, so for every 1 Bitcoin they have, they'd be able to create 100 million of this new currency, and they could only create more if they have more Bitcoin. That's the idea of Bitcoin as digital gold. Also being used over the US dollar, but that's another discussion way in and of itself. So over the years, we've heard that Bitcoin has taken over this company. It continuously is breezing by over and over. And some of the best parts have usually been, it's normally been companies who have spoken negatively about the cryptocurrency space before in some way or another. And this is why I personally believe that we've been hearing the masses, these millionaires and billionaires, the last like 2 or 3 years who have made sure to stand on pedestals and on stage and tell everyone exactly how amazing Bitcoin is because they're looking at the other metrics. It's not where Bitcoin's price is currently today. It's how well it's doing compared to other assets. So even earlier this year, I see it on the screen right here, we found out that Bitcoin, as it was moving up price-wise, managed to flip Tesla. It flipped Facebook. It flipped the valuation of Instagram and WhatsApp. Also, a light personal favorite of mine, Warren Buffett does not like Bitcoin. I don't blame him. He's like 114 at this point. Like, if he does or does not like it, it really doesn't kind of matter to me. But we passed by his company, Berkshire Hathaway, in valuation. So Bitcoin went right above the thing that this guy has been telling us was evil, horrible, and rat poison squared. No one says that. All the time, Bitcoin passed by it. So imagine my surprise when we keep hearing that Bitcoin is one day going to take over gold, and we're actually not that far off if we can be completely honest. The current numbers say that Bitcoin's price has to just be a smidge over $700,000, and I say they were not far off because if you haven't been paying attention to the news, can't really help you, especially comparative to all the other price predictions that we've been getting over the course of this halving and the next halving. But alas, imagine my disappointment and surprise when the news came out and no one was talking about it, that Bitcoin passed by silver. Yeah, Bitcoin is now worth more than silver because, you know, silver is the silver to gold's gold, and therefore Bitcoin managed to pass by one of the oldest forms of currency that we've ever had on this planet. So I just kind of assumed when this news popped up, I was looking around and I was like, clearly more people are talking. No one was talking about this at all. And this also like lines up very strongly with a lot of stuff that I've said before about the cryptocurrency space. Tesla hasn't been around for 5,000 years. Neither has Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, or Berkshire Hathaway. Those made it into the news, especially in 2018, 2019. You can find a lot of the news that Bitcoin kept on rising in the ranks. I had foolishly assumed that news of Bitcoin passing by one of the oldest forms of currency that we've ever known would have made it to more popular news. But I guess this video is a way to kind of celebrate it, if you will. We have a lot more milestones on that list as well. For those of you who've never seen it, I think number 2 is the US dollar and number 1 is gold. We've had a lot of predictions over the last few years of when Bitcoin's value is going to be worth more than the entirety of the US dollar. How that will, of course, cause a gigantic mental shift in the world, and people will begin to even more so move over to Bitcoin because it passed by the US dollar. But I don't even have one of those. I was like, wee, like the little like New Year's things, and I can hear it clacking in my head, but this seems ridiculous. The point is, yeah, Bitcoin has passed by the valuation of silver. This is something monumental that no one seems to care about, but I do, especially as we continue on and further into the halving bull run. We're going to see Bitcoin climb even higher, and I have a really strange feeling there's going to be like a lot of news about us passing by some company that's been around for 17 years as opposed to actual silver. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.